Welcome to my channel USA News States. If you follow US immigration news, today's update is something you definitely don't want to miss. But before we continue, take a second to subscribe to USA News States, because on this channel we break down important US immigration updates in simple language so immigrants and families can clearly understand what is happening. Now let's talk about the latest discussion happening in Washington. In 2026, immigration experts and policymakers are once again focusing on an important issue: asylum applications and work permits. Right now, the U.S. immigration system is dealing with one of the largest backlogs in its history. Millions of immigration cases are waiting inside the court system. Because of this backlog, many immigrants are waiting years before their cases are reviewed by an immigration judge. During this long waiting period, asylum applicants often rely on work authorization so they can legally work, support their families, and survive while their case moves through the system. And this is exactly why the topic of asylum work permits is becoming a major immigration discussion in 2026. Some immigration policy experts believe the government may need to adjust parts of the current system in order to manage the growing number of applications entering the immigration courts every year. But immigration lawyers are also warning that even small policy changes could affect thousands of immigrants who are currently waiting for decisions on their cases. For many people, a work permit is not just paperwork. It represents stability, the ability to pay rent, buy food, and build a life while their immigration case is still pending. That is why so many immigrants across the United States are closely watching these discussions. Right now, no official law has been announced. These are policy conversations happening among lawmakers, analysts, and immigration experts. But history shows that discussions like these often lead to future immigration policy changes. And that is exactly why understanding these developments is so important. Because if any changes happen in the future, they could affect future asylum applicants and people already waiting in the immigration system. But here's something many people don't realize. The main reason these discussions are happening may actually be connected to the massive immigration court backlog. And the real numbers behind that backlog might surprise you. In the next part of this video, we're going to explain just how big the immigration backlog has become in the United States and why it is putting pressure on the immigration system. So keep watching. And if you want clear and simple updates about U.S. immigration news, make sure you subscribe to USA. But to understand why policymakers are even talking about asylum work permits right now, we need to look at the bigger picture of the U.S. immigration system. According to immigration analysts, the immigration court system in the United States is currently facing a backlog of millions of pending cases. This means immigration judges across the country are handling an overwhelming number of files every single day. For many immigrants, this backlog means waiting not just months, but sometimes several years before their case is finally heard in court. And during that long waiting period, many asylum applicants depend on work authorization to survive. Without a work permit, it becomes extremely difficult for families to support themselves while their legal process continues. This is exactly why immigration experts say work authorization policies are closely connected to the overall efficiency of the immigration system. If the backlog continues to grow, the number of people waiting for work authorization could also increase. Some policy analysts believe that government officials are now studying different ways to manage the system more effectively. That could include improving court resources, adding more immigration judges, or reviewing how certain applications are processed. However, immigration lawyers emphasize something very important. At this moment, no official rule change has been announced regarding asylum work permits. What we are seeing right now are discussions and policy reviews that may influence future decisions. Still, these conversations matter, because when immigration officials begin analyzing a system, it often signals that adjustments could eventually be considered. And that is why thousands of immigrants, immigration attorneys, and policy researchers are paying very close attention to what happens next in Washington. Many people are now asking an important question. If the immigration court backlog continues to grow, could the government introduce new strategies to manage asylum applications and work authorization in the future? Right now, the answer is not clear. But what we do know is that immigration policy discussions are becoming more active in 2026. And that means immigrants across the country should stay informed about potential developments. In the next part of this video, we're going to look at what immigration experts are predicting about the future of asylum work permits and what possible scenarios could happen if policy adjustments are considered. So stay with us because the next section could give you a clearer picture of what might happen. So what are immigration experts actually saying about the future of asylum work permits in the United States? Right now, many policy analysts believe the government is carefully studying the current immigration system to understand where the biggest pressure points are. One of those pressure points is clearly the immigration court backlog, which continues to grow as more cases enter the system every year. Because of this situation, some experts believe policymakers may eventually consider ways to make the immigration process more efficient. This could include improving case processing speed, increasing court resources, or reviewing how certain applications are handled while they are pending. For asylum applicants, one of the most important issues is the ability to work legally while waiting for their case decision. Many families depend on this work authorization to support themselves while they remain in the United States. That is why immigration attorneys often advise people to stay informed about any policy discussions that could impact work authorization rules. However, experts also remind immigrants of something very important. Immigration policy changes in the United States usually take time. Before any new rule becomes official, it typically goes through multiple stages, including policy review, legal analysis, and sometimes public comment periods. This means sudden overnight changes are very rare. Instead, most immigration policy adjustments happen gradually after long discussions among government agencies and lawmakers. Still, immigration lawyers say these early discussions are worth paying attention to, because they can often signal the direction immigration policy may move in the future. For immigrants who are currently waiting for asylum decisions, the most important thing right now is to stay informed and follow updates from reliable sources. Understanding how the system works can help people prepare for possible changes and avoid unnecessary confusion. And this is exactly why we continue to bring you these updates here on USA News States. Because immigration news can sometimes be complicated, but our goal is to explain it in a way that is simple and clear. In the next part of this video, we're going to look at what potential scenarios immigration experts are discussing for the future and what these conversations could mean for immigrants living in the United States. So keep watching because the next section might give you a better idea of where immigration policy discussions could be heading next. Now let's talk about the possible scenarios that immigration experts are discussing when it comes to asylum work permits and the future of the immigration system. One possibility experts often mention is improving the speed of immigration case processing. If immigration courts receive more judges, better technology, and additional resources, cases could potentially move faster through the system. This would reduce the long waiting times many immigrants are currently experiencing. And if cases are resolved more quickly, fewer applicants would need to wait years while depending on temporary work authorization. Another scenario experts discuss is reviewing how certain immigration applications are processed before they even reach the court stage. Some policy analysts believe that improving the early stages of the immigration process could reduce pressure on immigration courts later. This could include better screening systems, faster document processing, or improved coordination between immigration agencies. However, immigration attorneys emphasize something very important here. At this moment, these ideas are policy discussions, not official policy changes. No new law has been announced, and no confirmed rule changes have been implemented regarding asylum work permits. But history shows that immigration policy often evolves through discussions like these. Government agencies regularly review how immigration systems are functioning, especially when backlogs become very large. And right now, the size of the immigration court backlog has become a major concern for policymakers in Washington. That's why immigration experts believe we could see more policy conversations throughout 2026. For immigrants currently living in the United States, the key message from legal experts is simple: stay informed, because immigration rules, court procedures, and application processes can change over time. Following reliable updates can help immigrants understand what is happening and avoid misinformation that sometimes spreads online. And here on USA News States, our goal is to help explain these developments clearly so you can stay informed about important immigration topics. In the next and final part of this video, we're going to summarize everything we discussed today and explain what immigrants should keep in mind moving forward. So, Mac, to wrap up today's discussion on asylum work permits and the U.S. immigration system, the main takeaway is that asylum applicants rely heavily on work authorization while their cases are pending, and policymakers are actively discussing ways to improve the immigration process. The immigration court backlog remains one of the biggest challenges, with millions of cases waiting for hearings across the country. Experts are exploring ways to make the system more efficient, including faster case processing, more resources for courts, and better coordination between immigration agencies. For immigrants currently waiting for asylum decisions, the most important advice is to stay informed. Even though no official changes have been announced yet, following credible updates can help you prepare for possible future policy adjustments. Remember, a work permit is more than just paperwork. It represents stability, the ability to work, support your family, and plan for the future while navigating the immigration system. And this is why staying aware of policy discussions and expert predictions is crucial for anyone involved in the immigration process. Thank you for watching this full update on asylum work permits and immigration policy. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe to USA News States and turn on notifications so you never miss important updates that could affect you or your family. Also, if you know someone who is waiting for an asylum decision or interested in U.S. immigration news, share this video with them. Staying informed is the first step to being prepared. We'll continue bringing you the latest updates, expert analysis, and clear explanations about U.S. immigration news throughout 2026. Thank you for staying with us.